Jack Nelson woke up early every morning, just as the sun peeked over the mountains. His old bones ached a bit more each year, but the garden called to him. It had been 3 years since Laura died, and the garden was all he had left of there. Shared dreams. The small house sat on 5 acres at the edge of town. Most of the land was wild, but Jack had cleared 2 acres for what the locals called that crazy garden. It wasn't crazy to Jack. Each plant had a purpose, a story, and a place in his heart. "Morning, Lavra," he said to the picture by his bedside. She smiled back at him from behind the glass, forever 59 and happy. Jack was 67 now, his hands rough from soil, and his face lined from squinting in the sun. He made his coffee strong and drank, bit black on the back porch. The garden spread before him like a colorful quilt, rows of vegetables, patches of herbs, and his special flowers. The blue roses were his pride. 10 years of careful breeding had created something unique, roses with petals, the color of. The Montana sky at dusk. Jack finished his coffee and put on his wide-brimmed hat. The morning air was cool, but the sun promised heat later. He walked down the 3 wooden steps and followed the stone path. Into the garden. Something was wrong. Jack stopped at the edge of the tomato patch. Several plants had been disturbed. Ripe tomatoes were missing, and some stems were broken. Jack frowned and moved closer. The damage wasn't from birds or insects. It looked like someone had pulled the tomatoes off in a hurry. "Deer again," Jack muttered. But he knew it wasn't deer. Deer would have left tracks and eaten more than just the ripe tomatoes. This was selective. He continued his inspection and found more problems. The special herbs he grew for teas were missing large chunks. His rare mint varieties had been harvested roughly. Even his prized peppers showed signs of theft. Jack spent the morning fixing what he could and making notes of what needed to be replaced. By noon, his confusion had turned to anger. This wasn't the first time. Small thefts had been happening for weeks, but this was the worst yet. After lunch, Jack drove to the hardware store in town. Bill, the owner, waved as he entered. "Jack." "What? Brings you in today? Need more of that special fertilizer?" Jack shook his head. "Something's been getting into my garden. Need some fencing." Bill walked him to the right aisle. "Probably deer. They're bad this year. Or could be those new neighbors down the road. Their kids are always running wild." Jack didn't think it was either, but he nodded anyway. People in. Town already thought he was odd. The old man who talked to his plants and grew things no one had heard of. No need to share his suspicions. He bought chicken wire, posts, and a new shovel to replace his broken one. On his way out, he passed the electronics section and stopped. A display of security cameras caught his eye. Jack wasn't good with technology, but the box promised easy setup and night vision. He added it to his cart. The fence took 3 days to install. Jack worked slowly, measuring twice and digging carefully around his plants. The camera was harder. He read the instructions 5 times before he understood how to connect it to his old laptop. By the end of the week, both were in place. The fence circled the entire garden, and the camera pointed at his most valuable plants, the blue roses. For 2 nights, nothing happened. Jack reviewed the footage each morning, seeing only darkness and the occasional moth flying past. On the 3rd night, he was awakened by the sound of his laptop beeping. The motion detector had been triggered. Jack fumbled for his glasses and stared at the screen. At first, he thought the camera was broken. The image showed a strange, glowing figure moving among his roses. It wasn't human. Too small, too oddly shaped, and it seemed to shine with its own light, a soft blue-green glow that shifted and pulsed. Jack's heart raced. He grabbed the baseball bat he kept by his bed and rushed outside in his pajamas. By the time he reached the garden, whatever. had been there was gone, but the damage remained. 3 of his precious blue roses had been cut, not broken, but cut with something sharp. The fence was intact, with no sign of how the thief had gotten in or out. Jack sat on the garden bench until sunrise, bat across his knees, too stunned to go back inside. He wasn't crazy. The camera had seen it too. Over breakfast, Jack watched the recording again and again. The figure was about 4 feet tall with a slender body. Its skin gave off that strange glow, making it hard to see details. It had moved, with purpose, examining plants before selecting the roses. This wasn't an animal. This was something intelligent. Jack called Bill at the hardware store. "Need a better camera," he said. "And motion-activated lights. Catch anything on the first one?" Bill asked. Jack hesitated. "Yeah, but you wouldn't believe me if I told you." Bill laughed. "Those raccoons can be clever as people sometimes." "Yeah," Jack said. "Raccoons." The new equipment cost more than Jack wanted to spend, but he didn't care. Something was taking what had taken him years to grow. His roses weren't just plants. They were his legacy, his art. Each one represented hundreds of hours of work, careful breeding, and patience. Jack spent the day setting up lights around the garden perimeter. He added a second camera and an alarm that would ring inside the house. By evening, his garden looked like a small fortress. For 2 nights, nothing came. On the 3rd night, at exactly 2:17 a.m., everything went off at once. Lights flooded the garden, the alarm blared, and Jack's laptop showed movement among the vegetables. Jack grabbed his bat and ran outside. The lights revealed everything clearly. There, frozen in surprise, stood a creature that definitely wasn't from Earth. It had 4 arms, each thin but strong-looking. Its skin shimmered with colors that shifted like oil on water. The head was large compared to the body, with huge eyes that reflected the light like a cat's. Those eyes now stared at Jack, with what could only be described as fear. In its upper hands, the creature held several plants it had pulled from the ground. Jack's special medicinal herbs that he used for his arthritis. The lower hands were raised in what seemed like a defensive posture. Jack raised his bat, anger boiling over. "That's my garden you're destroying," he shouted. "Those took me years to grow." The creature made a sound, a series of musical tones, that rose and fell quickly. It gestured with one of its lower hands toward the sky, then back to the plants it held. Jack stepped closer, bat still raised. The creature didn't run. Instead, it made the sounds again, more urgently. It pointed to the herbs, then to its mouth, then to the sky again. Jack lowered the bat slightly. You're eating my plants?" The creature shook its head surprisingly. Human gesture of denial. It pointed to the herbs, then made a motion like crushing something, then pointed to the sky again with all 4 arms. Something about those huge, frightened eyes made Jack's anger fade a little. This wasn't mindless destruction or theft for fun. The creature was trying to tell him something important. Jack slowly lowered his bat all the way. "You need these plants for something, don't you?" The alien, because what else could it be, nodded vigorously, the colors on its skin pulsing brighter. Jack and the alien stood in the garden under the bright security lights. The night was quiet, except for the chirping of crickets and the soft, musical sounds the alien made. Jack wasn't sure what to do next. He had planned for catching a thief, not meeting a visitor from another world. "I can't understand you," Jack said, putting his bat down on the ground as a sign of peace. The alien watched his movement carefully. Jack pointed to himself. "Jack," he said clearly. The alien blinked its large eyes. It made a series of gentle tones that sounded like bells in the wind. Jack nodded and smiled a little. "I'll just call you Lily," he said, looking at the water lily the alien had been admiring earlier. Because you seem to like those flowers. Lily, as Jack now thought of her, seemed to understand they were trying to communicate. She put down the herbs she had taken and moved slowly to a patch of bare soil near the garden path. Using one of her 4 fingers, she began to draw in the dirt. Jack came closer and watched. Lily drew a simple picture of what looked like her ship, then 3 smaller versions of herself lying down. She drew plants around them and made a motion like she was feeding or treating the smaller aliens. "You have children?" Jack asked, pointing to the small figures. Lily nodded eagerly, the colors on her skin brightening to a hopeful blue. "And they're sick?" Jack guessed, making a coughing motion and pointing to the drawings. Lily nodded again, her colors dimming to a sad purple. She pointed to Jack's herbs, then back to the drawings of her children. Jack understood. "You need my plants to help them." Lily made another series of musical sounds, and Jack took it as confirmation. He felt his anger completely fade away, replaced by concern and curiosity. "Show me," Jack said, pointing to Lily, and beyond the garden. "Show me your children." Lily hesitated, her colors shifting between blue and yellow. She seemed unsure whether to trust him. Jack picked up a few of his medicinal herbs and held them out to her. "To help," he said simply. This seemed to convince her. Lily took the herbs carefully and motioned for Jack to follow her. She walked to the garden gate and waited while Jack unlocked it. Jack went back to the house first to get some things: a flashlight, his jacket, and a small bag with more herbs and some of his blue roses. He didn't know why, but he felt the roses might be important too. When he returned, Lily was waiting patiently by the gate. They walked into the forest behind Jack's property. The path was difficult in the dark, but Lily's glowing skin provided enough light to see. They walked for about 20 minutes, going deeper into the woods than Jack had been in years. Finally, they reached a small clearing. At first, Jack didn't see anything unusual. Then Lily touched something in the air, and suddenly a ship appeared. Where there had been nothing before, it wasn't a large ship, about the size of Jack's garden shed. It had a smooth, rounded shape with no sharp edges. The surface looked like metal, but shifted colors like Lily's skin, though more subtly. A door opened in the side of the ship, revealing a soft blue light inside. Lily motioned for Jack to follow her in. Jack hesitated only a moment before stepping into the alien craft. The inside was larger than it looked from outside. The walls curved gently, and everything seemed to be made of the same color-shifting material. There were no sharp corners anywhere. The air smelled clean, like after a rainstorm. In the center of the main room were 3 small pods. Each pod was clear on top, and inside each one was a small alien child. They looked like younger versions of Lily, but their skin barely glowed at all. Instead of the bright, shifting colors of their mother, these children's skin was a dull gray. Jack moved closer and looked at the alien children. They seemed to be sleeping, but not peacefully. Their small faces showed signs of pain. Around the pods were various earth plants, including some Jack recognized from his garden. Some had been crushed into a paste. Others were arranged in different combinations. Jack could see that Lily had been experimenting, trying to find the right mixture to help her children. "How long have they been sick?" Jack asked, knowing Lily couldn't answer in words he would understand. Lily held up 7 fingers, then pointed to the moon visible through a small window in the ship. 7 moon cycles? 7 months? Jack guessed. Lily nodded. She went to a wall that suddenly lit up with strange symbols and images. She touched several spots, and the wall changed to show what looked like a map of stars. She pointed to one star, then traced a path to another, presumably Earth. "You came from far away," Jack said. Lily made more musical sounds and pointed to a part of the star map where there was a cluster of small dots. She made a motion like something hitting the ship, then pointed to the children. "You hit something." "On the way? An asteroid field?" Jack guessed. "And that's when they got sick?" Lily's colors turned blue in what Jack took as confirmation. She touched the wall again, and it changed to show images of plants, earth plants. Many were ones Jack grew in his garden. Jack began to understand more of the story. Lily and her children had been traveling through space when they hit an asteroid field. The children got sick, perhaps from damage to the ship or exposure to something harmful. They had to land on Earth, and Lily discovered that some Earth plants had properties that might help her children. She had been searching gardens in the area, taking small amounts from each, until she found Jack's garden with its special varieties. His medicinal herbs and hybrid plants were different from ordinary ones, stronger, more potent, carefully bred over years. Jack looked at the sick children again and made a decision. He opened his bag and took out the herbs and roses he had brought. "Let me help," he said, pointing to himself. "Then the plants, then the children. I know these plants better than anyone. I've been growing them for 30 years. Lily's skin glowed with bright blue and green colors. She made a series of musical sounds that sounded joyful. Jack rolled up his sleeves. "First, we need to figure out which plants are helping and which aren't. Then we need to find the right combination." He looked around the ship and spotted what seemed to be a work area with tools. They weren't like any tools he had seen before, but he could guess their purpose. "Can I use these?" he asked, pointing to the tools. Lily nodded and moved to stand beside him at the work area. Jack laid out his herbs and roses and began to examine what Lily had already tried. "We'll figure this out together," Jack said. "Your children will get better." Lily's skin glowed with a warm golden color that filled the ship with gentle light. For the first time, Jack was glad the alien had stolen from his garden. His anger was completely gone now, replaced by determination to help this mother save her children as they worked side by side through the night. Jack realized this might be the most important use his plants had ever had. Lavra would have been amazed and proud. His garden wasn't just his legacy anymore. It might save lives from another world. Morning light filtered through the trees when Jack finally left the alien ship. He was tired but excited. He and Lily had worked all night, testing different plant combinations. They had made progress. One of his blue roses, mixed with a special mint he grew, had caused a small positive change in the oldest child. The gray color of the child's skin had lightened just a bit, showing a hint of blue. Jack needed to get more plants from his garden and some of his gardening notebooks. He had kept detailed records of all his plant breeding experiments over the years. Those notes might help them find the right cure faster. "I'll be back soon," Jack told Lily, using hand gestures to show he was leaving but would return. Lily's skin turned a soft green color that Jack was starting to recognize as trust. She made a musical sound that seemed like agreement. Jack hurried home, his mind racing with ideas. At his house, he quickly showered and changed clothes. He filled a backpack with more blue roses and herbs. Then he went to his office and found his old gardening journals. 30 years of notes filled 10 thick notebooks. As he gathered the notebooks, Jack paused at a photo of Lavra on his desk. She had been a biology teacher before she retired. She would have been fascinated by Lily and her children. "You wouldn't believe what's happening, Lavra," Jack said to the photo. "All those years you teased me about my mad scientist gardening. Turns out I might be helping aliens with it." Jack made a quick breakfast, then packed some food and water too. He didn't know how long he would be at the ship today. Before leaving, he called his neighbor, Frank. "I'm going hiking today," Jack told him. "Might not be back till late. Could you check my mail?" Sure thing, Frank said. Don't fall and break. A hip out there, old man. Jack smiled. I'll be careful. On the walk back to the ship, Jack thought about what he was doing. He was helping an alien who had stolen from him. If anyone found out, they might think he was crazy. Or worse, they might try to find Lily and her children. Jack decided he would keep this secret, at least until the children were well. When Jack reached the clearing, the ship was invisible again. He stood there, wondering if Lily would know he had returned. Lily? He called softly. It's Jack. The ship appeared, and the door opened. Lily stood there, her skin glowing a welcoming yellow. She made happy musical sounds when she saw Jack's full backpack. Inside the ship, Jack was pleased to see that the oldest child looked slightly better. The hint of blue in the skin was stronger now. Jack laid out his notebooks and showed them to Lily. These are all my notes about the plants, he explained, knowing she wouldn't understand his words, but hoping she would get the idea. Lily looked at the notebooks with interest. She touched the diagrams Jack had drawn of his plant breeding experiments. Then she went to the wall display and touched it. The wall lit up with similar diagrams of plants, but these were plants Jack had never seen before. Alien plants from Lily's world. Your people are gardeners too? Jack asked, amazed. Lily made a sound that seemed like agreement. She pointed to herself, then to the plants on the screen, then made a gesture like she was teaching. You're a plant scientist, Jack guessed. Like me. Lily's skin turned bright blue, which Jack was learning meant happiness or excitement. For the next few hours, they exchanged information about plants. Jack showed Lily his breeding techniques through diagrams in his notebooks. Lily showed Jack her world's plants on the screen. They had surprising similarities despite evolving on different planets. They returned to the work of helping the children. Jack carefully mixed more of the blue rose and mint combination. He added a small amount of his rare healing herb that he used for his own arthritis. Lily watched closely, her 4 hands sometimes helping, sometimes taking notes on a strange device that recorded his methods. They gave the new mixture to all 3 children. Then they waited. While they waited, Lily showed Jack more about her ship and her people. Through pictures on the wall display, Jack learned that Lily's species was called something like Lumini, based on the musical sounds she made when pointing to herself. They were explorers and scientists who traveled between stars studying life on different planets. The Lumini ship had been damaged in an asteroid field, forcing Lily to make an emergency landing on Earth. During the landing, the ship's air system had been contaminated, causing the children to get sick. Lily had been searching for a cure ever since, testing Earth plants that her ship's computer suggested might help. After a few hours, they checked the children again. All 3 showed improvement. Their skin had more color now, with definite blue and green tints starting to appear. The oldest child even opened its eyes briefly, making a soft musical sound before falling back asleep. Lily's skin glowed with bright, happy colors. She made a series of musical sounds that sounded like joyful bells. She took Jack's hands in 2 of hers and squeezed gently. Jack smiled. They're getting better. But we need to make more of the medicine. He pointed to his garden in the direction of his home, then to the blue roses he had brought, and made a not enough gesture. Lily understood. She went to the ship's controls and touched several spots. A section of the floor opened up, revealing a small compartment filled with soil. A garden on your ship? Jack asked, surprised and delighted. Lily nodded. She pointed to the compartment, then to Jack's blue roses, making a planting gesture. You want to grow them here, Jack said. That's smart. But it will take time for new plants to grow. Jack thought for a moment, then had an idea. He opened one of his notebooks and showed Lily his notes on accelerated plant growth. He had developed techniques to make plants grow faster without losing their special properties. Lily studied the notes carefully. Then she went to another part of the ship and returned with a small device. She placed it near the soil compartment and adjusted some settings. The device emitted a soft purple light. "Growth lights?" Jack guessed. "Better than mine, I bet." They worked together to plant some of Jack's blue roses and herbs in the ship's garden. Lily added something to the soil that made it sparkle slightly. Then she turned on the purple light and adjusted the ship's environment controls. Before Jack's eyes, the plants began to grow. Slowly at first, then faster. Within an hour, small shoots had appeared. By the end of the day, they had small plants. "Amazing," Jack whispered. With technology like this, he could grow plants in ways he had only dreamed of. As evening approached, Jack knew he should go home. He didn't want to raise suspicion by staying away too long, but he promised to return the next day. Lily walked him to the edge of the clearing. Before he left, she gave him a small object that looked like a smooth stone. When he held it, it glowed with the same colors as Lily's skin. "What's this?" he asked. Lily pointed to the stone, then to the ship, then to Jack. She made a gesture, like she was calling someone. "A way to call you?" Jack guessed. "To let you know when I'm coming back?" Lily nodded, her skin glowing a friendly green. Jack put the stone in his pocket and headed home, his mind full of alien plants, glowing skin, and the thought that somewhere across the stars there were gardeners like him. Over the next 2 weeks, Jack visited the ship every day. His life had found a new purpose. Each morning, he woke up excited to check on Lily and her children. Each evening, he returned home with his mind full of new discoveries. The stone Lily had given him worked just as he thought. When he held it and thought about visiting, it would glow brightly. Then the ship would become visible when he reached the clearing, saving him from waiting outside. The children were getting better. Their skin now glowed with soft colors, though not as bright as Lily's. The oldest child, whom Jack had started calling Sky because of his blue coloring, was awake for short periods. Sky watched Jack with curious eyes and tried to make musical sounds like his mother. The plants in the ship's garden grew amazingly fast with Lily's technology. The blue roses that would normally take months to mature were already blooming. Jack had brought more plants from his garden to try growing in the ship, rare herbs and flowers that might help the children recover faster. One morning, Jack arrived at the ship with a special surprise. He had spent the night making small toys for the children, simple wooden figures carved to look like earth animals. When he showed them to Lily, her skin glowed bright yellow with happiness. "These are animals from my world," Jack explained, showing her a wooden deer, rabbit, and bird for the children to play with when they're feeling better. Lily took the toys carefully in her 4 hands. She made a series of musical sounds that Jack had come to recognize as thank you. She placed the toys by the children's pods. Sky reached out a weak hand toward the wooden bird, his favorite. Lily helped him hold it, and the child's skin glowed a happy blue. That day, Lily showed Jack more about her world through the ship's display. He saw images of the Lumini homeworld, a planet with purple skies and floating islands covered in strange but beautiful plants. He saw Lumini cities built in harmony with nature, where buildings and plants grew together in ways Jack could hardly imagine. "It's beautiful," Jack said. "I wish Lara could have seen this." Lily tilted her head in question. Jack took out his wallet and showed her a photo of Lara. "My wife," he explained. "She died 3 years ago." Lily's skin turned a soft purple that Jack now recognized as sadness or sympathy. She touched the photo gently with one finger, then placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. Jack smiled at her. "It's okay. I miss her, but I'm not alone anymore. I have my garden." And now I have you and the children to help." Lily's skin turned a warm golden color. She went to a small compartment in the wall and took out a crystal-like object. She handed it to Jack. The crystal was cool to the touch and seemed to have tiny lights moving inside it. When Jack held it up, it projected a small, three-dimensional image of Lily and her 3 children, all healthy and glowing with bright colors. "Your family," Jack said. "Thank you." He carefully put the crystal in his shirt pocket, next to his heart. Later that day, they continued working on the medicine for the children. The mixture of blue roses and special herbs was working, but the children still had a long way to go. Jack had an idea for making the medicine stronger. "The blue roses have a special enzyme," he explained, drawing a diagram for Lily. "If we can concentrate it, the medicine might work faster." Lily understood. She brought out a device that looked like a small glass box. When they put rose petals inside and activated it, the box hummed softly and extracted a bright blue liquid. The pure enzyme Jack had been trying to isolate for years. "Amazing," Jack said. "Your technology does in minutes what would take me months in my lab." They added the enzyme to the medicine and gave it to the children. Then they waited. While waiting, Jack told Lily more about his life through drawings and gestures. He showed her pictures of his house and garden. He told her about his years as a botanist at the university, and how he and Laura had moved to this quiet place when they retired. Lily listened carefully, her skin changing colors to show her understanding and interest. She seemed especially curious about how earth plants were different from those on her. By evening, the children showed remarkable improvement. Their skin glowed brighter, and even the youngest 2 were awake for short periods. Sky was sitting up in his pod, playing with the wooden bird Jack had made. "They're really getting better now," Jack said, his voice full of happiness. Lily made joyful musical sounds. She touched controls on the wall, and the display showed readings of the children's health. The graphs and numbers meant nothing to Jack, but the upward trends were clear. As Jack prepared to leave for the day, Lily stopped him. She went to the ship's garden and carefully cut one of the plants that had grown there. Not one of Jack's plants, but a strange, spiral-shaped plant with glowing blue leaves that she had started growing from seeds she had brought from her. She gave the plant to Jack in a small container filled with soil that sparkled like the soil in the ship's garden. "For me?" Jack asked, surprised and touched. Lily nodded. She made gestures indicating that Jack should plant it in his garden. "At home, an alien plant in my garden," Jack said, smiling. "That will be something special." Before he left, Lily showed him something else on the ship's display. A star map with a path marked from Earth back to the Lumini homeworld. "You're planning your trip home," Jack realized. His happiness dimmed a little. He had grown attached. To Lily and her children, Lily's skin turned a mix of blue and purple, happy but also sad. She pointed to readings on the ship's controls that Jack took to mean repairs were almost complete. Then she pointed to the sky, where the first stars were appearing in the evening light. Jack nodded. "Of course you need to go home. That's what we've been working for, to make the children well enough to travel." Lily touched his hand gently with 2 of hers. Her skin glowed with warm, friendly colors. She made musical sounds that somehow conveyed that their friendship was important to her. As Jack walked home with the alien plant carefully held in his hands, he felt both happy and sad. The children were getting better. Soon, Lily would take them home across the stars. Jack would be alone again, but not really alone, he thought. He looked at the strange, beautiful plant Lily had given him. A piece of her world would grow in his garden, and he had given her blue roses to take to her world. A fair trade between gardeners from different stars. When he reached his house, Jack carefully planted the alien plant in a special pot. He would keep it inside for now, safe from curious eyes. Their secret, his and Lily's, would stay safe. Summer was ending. The days grew shorter and the nights cooler. Jack could feel fall approaching in the crisp morning air. It had been nearly 2 months since he first caught Lily stealing from his garden. Now, as he walked the familiar path to the hidden ship, he carried mixed feelings. The alien children were almost fully recovered. Their skin glowed with bright, shifting colors just like their mothers. They were out of their pods and moving around the ship. Sky, the oldest, had even started learning a few English words from Jack. Jack carried a basket of the last blue roses of the season. These were special ones, grown from seeds he had carefully selected. They would be his parting gift to Lily and her family. When he reached the clearing, the ship appeared right away. The door opened, and Sky ran out to meet him, glowing blue and green with excitement. "Jack! Jack!" Sky called in his musical voice. He spoke English with a singing quality that made even simple words sound like music. Jack smiled and knelt down. "Hello, Sky. How are you today?" "Good," Sky said, the colors on his skin pulsing brightly. "Very good." Lily appeared at the door of the ship, her 2 younger children hiding shyly behind her. She glowed a warm, welcoming yellow when she saw Jack. Inside the ship, Jack saw that they were preparing to leave. The garden compartment had been emptied, except for a few pots containing his blue roses and herbs. The wall displays showed star maps and what looked like travel plans. "You're leaving soon," Jack said. It wasn't a question. Lily nodded, her skin turning a mix of blue and purple. Happy to go home, but sad to say goodbye. She made musical sounds and pointed to the night sky visible through the ship's window. "Tonight?" Jack asked, his heart sinking. A little. Lily nodded again. She went to a control panel and touched several spots. A display showed Earth's weather patterns. A storm system was moving in, and behind it would come the first cold front of fall. "You need to leave before the weather changes," Jack guessed, "before it gets too cold for the children." Lily confirmed this with musical sounds and gestures. The children were healthy now, but still fragile. They needed to start the journey home while conditions were good. Jack set down his basket of roses. "I brought these for you, the best ones from my garden. They should grow well in your world." Lily's skin glowed bright blue with gratitude. She took the roses and placed them carefully with the other plants they would take with them. Then she gestured for Jack to follow her. She led him to a new part of the ship he hadn't seen before. It was a small room filled with strange but beautiful objects, things Lily had collected from other worlds during her explorations. Lily pointed to a shelf and invited Jack to look. There, she had arranged a collection of Earth items, some of Jack's gardening tools, photos he had shared of Earth, plants, small stones and leaves he had shown her. It was like a museum exhibit about Earth. Next to these items was an empty space. Lily pointed to it, then to Jack, making a questioning musical sound. "You want something from me to remember Earth by?" Jack asked. Lily nodded, her skin glowing. "A soft green of friendship." Jack thought for a moment. Then he took off the old watch he always wore. Lavra had given it to him on their 30th anniversary. The inscription on the back read, "Time grows our love." It seemed fitting to give to a fellow gardener from the stars. "This was from my wife," Jack said, placing the watch in Lily's hands. "It's about time and growing things. Like us." Lily's skin glowed with deep, warm colors. She held the watch carefully in her 4 hands, then placed it in the empty space on the shelf. She made a series of musical sounds that Jack had come to recognize as a promise or oath. "You'll remember," Jack said, understanding. "You'll remember us." Lily nodded. Then she went to another shelf and picked up a small star-shaped object that glowed with soft, shifting colors like her skin. She gave it to Jack. When Jack held it, images appeared in his mind. Lily's homeworld, her family, her garden there. It was like seeing through her eyes for a moment. "Thank you," Jack said, his voice thick with emotion. "I'll keep it safe." As evening approached, it was time for final preparations. Jack helped Lily secure the plants they were taking. The children ran around the ship, excited about the journey home, but also sad to leave their Earth friend. Sky hugged Jack's legs. "Miss you," he said in his musical voice. Jack knelt and hugged the child gently. "I'll miss you too, Sky, all of you." Outside the ship, as the sun began to set, Jack and Lily stood together one last time. The children were inside, strapped safely in their travel seats. "Your garden saved my children," Lily said in her way, using gestures and musical sounds that Jack now understood almost as well as words. "We will never forget," Jack smiled. "And you gave me a new purpose when I needed one. We're even." Lily's skin glowed all the colors of sunset. She took something from a pouch at her side, a small bag of seeds. She pressed it into Jack's hands. "More plants from your world?" Jack asked. Lily nodded. She made gestures showing plants growing, healing, helping. "Healing plants," Jack said. "Like medicine." Lily confirmed this with a happy blue glow. These were valuable seeds from her world, plants with healing properties beyond earth medicine. Jack thanked her, putting the seeds carefully in his pocket. Then it was truly time to say goodbye. Lily touched Jack's face gently with two of her hands, her skin glowing with friendship and gratitude. Jack covered her hands with his own for a moment. "Safe journey," he said. "Teach your people about Earth. Plants. I'll grow your plants here and learn their secrets." Lily made one last musical sound, a goodbye that somehow carried the promise of memory across the stars. And she turned and entered her ship. The door closed behind her. Jack stepped back to the edge of the clearing. The ship hummed softly, then began to glow with the same shifting colors as Lily's skin. It rose slowly at first, then faster, becoming a bright point of light among the evening stars. And it was gone. Jack stood there for a long time, looking up at the sky. He didn't feel sad, exactly. He felt changed. His world had become bigger in ways he could never have imagined. When he finally walked home, the alien plant Lily had given him weeks ago glowed softly in his living room window, as if saying hello. Jack took out the star-shaped object and the chia bag of seeds. New life, new growth, new possibilities. In his garden, the next morning, Jack began planning a special greenhouse, one where alien plants could grow safely, hidden from curious eyes. Laura would have called him crazy, then helped him build it. "You wouldn't believe the story, Lavra," he said to her picture. "It started with me being furious at a garden thief, and ended with friends among the stars." As he worked, Jack occasionally looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, blue roses from his garden were traveling to another world. And maybe someday, Lily would return to see how her plants were growing on Earth. The garden that had once been just a way to remember the past had now become a bridge to the future and to the stars.